Good morning. Been up a long time already, before 3 o'clock. Well, I didn't get out of bed then, but that's when I woke up. Anyway, the title for today is Making the World Safe for Everyone. And the blurb I wrote when I came out of the meditation room. I admit it, I am a dreamer. My business card uses the words servant and visionary to describe me. Of course, I am more than any limited description, for I contain all that is. In the eneagram, I am a 9, which means I can identify with every other type on the scale. I am the defender of duality and unity. I defend the ego and the self. You see, I want to experience a world that is safe for everyone, where each soul can be free without threats from any other sentient being. That is not the world in which I live, unfortunately. It is one that must be created. When my vision is challenged, I see how far we have to go to make that world a reality. Ah, the paradox man. Sometimes defending seemingly opposite sides of the same issue. I've been doing that for a long time. My friend Bruce Morgan, way back in 1981 probably, or 2, said, your forte is paradox. And then when I started writing, I created Paradox Publications. That was like 1983 or 84, somewhere back in there. And I, of course, wrote a couple of books in 1985. I Am a Man. I don't know. Well, that was the one that I wrote too. But I didn't actually sort of self-publish that one. Living Gods Are Hard to Find, and Heretics, Harlots, and Other Saints I wrote in 1985. The latter one is available, completely available on my website, Heretics, Harlots, and Other Saints. It's a novel. For a long time, I've tried to bring the opposites together within myself, to make peace with the paradox, as I call it. And so sometimes it seems like I'm defending what other people are trying to tear apart, like I did recently with my talk about the ego, which I've done other talks on that same subject. I've defended duality. I don't believe we're going to end duality. I wouldn't want to live in a world where there is no duality. I would like to live in a world where there is no polarization. Worlds where there is polarization are not safe worlds. Last night, I listened to, I fell asleep listening to it, the Republic Roundtable call, which happens every Thursday night, or almost every Thursday night. And the fellow from Iowa that introduced the Republic and helped get that senator that's been making mainstream news because she switched from being a Republican in the de facto government to being a senator. She was running for Senate in the de facto government, and she dropped out of that and she became a senator in the Republic, which is an amazing story and getting mainstream press, because the Republic is the true government of the United States. It's not the one that most people recognize as the true government, but it is the true government. But anyway, this guy, I can't remember his name, and he talks a lot. I should remember his name, but I don't. But in any case, he wanted to get people that are pro-life Well, I'm certainly pro-life, but I'm also pro-choice. You see, I'm the paradox man. Because I believe a woman, when she gets pregnant, has a right to decide early on in the pregnancy, as soon as she realizes she's pregnant, whether or not she wants to carry that child to term. I believe she has that right. I believe everyone has a right to decide how they want to love and be loved, whether it's by another man or another woman, when they are a man or a woman. I believe in homosexual rights, in other words. I believe in property rights. I believe we have the right to own property, not people as property. That's slavery. And that's what makes the world unsafe, because people think they have the right to tell other people what decisions they're supposed to make. And everybody needs to be free to make their own choices. Their own choices. Now you say, Ron, what about the unborn child that is conceived? Their heart starts beating fairly soon on. And you're saying a woman has the right to terminate that pregnancy? Yes, I do believe that, as long as it's done early on. The key is early on. Not, I mean, the first month should be sufficient, but the first trimester should be the absolute limit of that choice. Absolute limit, not beyond the first trimester, ever, ever, ever. Because by then, it's too much of a human being. But I don't believe that our human life begins with conception. I believe our human life begins from the moment of creation itself, in the beginning. Because everything that ever was going to be was created right then. And then it comes into manifestation. And so if a woman decides, I don't want to have this child, that's her choice. And she's free to make it if she makes it quickly. And she needs to be free to make it, and it's not murder. Now, I know there are people that disagree with that. And some of the people that disagree with that are pro-war. They are absolutely in favor of strong military and military intervention in other things, because they are moralists. They want to impose their decision on what's right and wrong on everybody else. And that's not freedom. That doesn't create a world that's safe for everyone. Everyone needs to be safe to live his or her life according to the dictates of his or her conscience and heart, and according to their level of evolution, of maturity. But they need to be safe to do that. We have created a world that is not safe, where property is not safe, where, you watch little children play. One of the first things a little toddler develops is me and mine. Now, is that wrong? Some people would say yes, because there is no me. There is no I. There is no ego. That's an illusion. That's not real. No, it is real. It is a real experience of being human. It is a real experience in creation, in nature. Even animals will protect their young. Talking about mammals now. Will protect their young. Will protect their territory. Dogs mark their territory. It is a natural part of the evolutionary creation of the world. And you notice I used evolution and creation right next to each other, juxtaposed right next to each other. Why? Because they're the same thing. Do you see? We live in this polarized world where everything is either or. No, it's both and. It's both this and that. And that's the point that I'm trying to make when I say embrace the paradox. The world is not safe anytime any group gets in power and tries to enforce its perceptions of reality on everyone else. It's why I as much as I love some of the things in my Christian heritage, I hate Christianity. Now I know somebody's going to take that out of context and say, Ron hates Christianity. I love Christ. I love Jesus. I love Muslims. I love Hindus. I love Buddhists. Do you understand? I love all of it because it's all part of me. I see everything as being just another part of me because I am just another part of God. And God is in me. The Creator is in me and in you and in everyone. And I want to honor that. And I want to see a world that's safe, where people say you don't own property. Well, yes, in three-dimensional and physical reality, we own property. And we need to have property rights protected. As I said to some people that were doing this yesterday, again, my friend Steve, that's one of his kicks. We don't own property. And there's a lot of people that are in that camp. If that's the ruling idea, that we can't own property, we don't have a safe world. We'll never have a safe world. Because, as I said, if I have my house. Now, I didn't have a house till Dr. Mary provided the way for me to have this house. That's why I call it the Mary Horgan Center. Okay? That's the reason, because she was my spiritual mom that made it possible for me to have the house that I'm living in. I never owned a house before. I always was a tenant. I always rented. Now I own a house. But suppose the world gets a little bit better and I stop making these daily videos for a while and I decide to take an extended world tour to visit my friends around the world. And I'm gone for 3 or 4 months. And then I come back and somebody else is living in my house. And they said, well, we noticed for 4 or 6 weeks, there was no activity there, so we thought it was vacated. We thought it was abandoned. So we thought, well, nobody's living here, we might as well move in. But I say, but it's my house. I just was on a long vacation. Well, sorry, we moved in. It's our house now. Do you see the insanity of that? That's why there has to be property rights. There has to be the right to own my vehicle. Now, right now with trusts, I don't own anything. And people said, well, a trust is a fictional entity. Absolutely, it's a fictional entity. Because in the world that we live in, that's the structure currently, and it's a structure created to protect property. Okay? And it's the same as corporations. It's a fictional thing. But in our world, everything is a fiction, and nobody has any rights. Nobody has property rights when the state claims it owns everybody and everything. Nobody has property rights. Nobody has rights of any kind. No civil rights, no individual rights, no natural rights, no rights, period. Because somebody more powerful can always come in and take those rights away. Now, I got a quote that I got just before I came on, and I almost forgot about it once I got to talking. But it's from Amram Mikhail Ivanov, and I may be torturing that pronunciation, and I'm sorry. I get daily quotes from him through one of the groups that I belong to. But he said this: we are not particularly well equipped to protect ourselves from evil, whereas evil is well armed. It possesses an amazing arsenal before which we are impotent. And so, in such an unequal struggle, we need to ask the Lord to become our ally. What does a country do when it is under enemy attack? It seeks allies. It is something instinctive. When humans are in difficulty, they have this ancient wisdom of always seeking allies. They feel that alone they are too vulnerable. Well, we too should know that as evil has so many resources, we will never be able to conquer it while we remain isolated. The solution is to link in with the Lord, with the heavenly entities, with the archangels and divinities, letting them do the fighting. And meanwhile, we are spectators. We watch from the sidelines as heaven, that is our divine side, our higher self, wins the battle. Indeed, it is an alliance with our higher self that we are seeking right now. It is an alliance between the ego and the higher self. It is an alliance between duality and unity. It is an alliance between the law of polarization and the law of one. And I don't even know that the law of polarization is a real law, but the polarization is the result of everybody thinking that they can impose their will on somebody else. That is never freedom, and it never produces a safe world. And it's why I look to ETs or angels for assistance, not to deliver us, but to level the playing field so that we have a chance against an embedded evil. And it is an embedded evil that thinks it has the right to take control over everybody else. And there are people in the Republic movement, because of their religious perspective, their narrow-mindedness, that think they're going to have the right to impose their morality on everybody else when they're in power. That's one of the dangers of the current Republic movement in the United States. I've seen that as a danger all along. You cannot create a safe world where anyone feels they have the right to impose their will on another person. That will never create a safe world. The world can only be safe when every individual is safe to be their own unique self. It will never be safe any other way till we each honor the other and recognize that our rights end where the other person's rights begin. That we each have the right to self-determination as a basic foundational right that cannot ever be violated by anyone, and anyone that would violate it is committing a crime against humanity and a horrendous evil. We need to overcome that. It is an individual awakening within ourselves, but it must also be a collective awakening. How it's going to happen, I don't know, but it must happen. Because we need to move into a world and create together a world that is safe for everyone, even minority viewpoints. Hear me, listen, take it to heart. I love you, and I want everyone to win. Let's create a win-win situation, a world that is safe for everyone. Thank you for listening. Namaste.